Good evening. Welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson, and this is the news. Preparations for the funeral of the murdered president of Gdansk, Paweł Adamowicz, are underway. Today, a ceremonial session of the City Council was held to commemorate the politician who died so tragically. The funeral ceremonies and the national mourning announced by President Duda will start tomorrow.
For the first time since I have been a councillor of the city of Gdańsk since 1998, I cannot welcome President Paweł Adamowicz. He was present whenever something important happened. Councillors and Gdańsk residents could count on his presence. He was always very well regarded. He won nationwide and European rankings in various fields. We did not notice this on a day-to-day basis because it was obvious, ordinary. Although today I see crowds of people saying goodbye to the president, thousands of candles and flowers, and lines of people to the condolence books standing with tears in their eyes. The president deserves this.
Polish officials are asking an important question in regard to the murder of the mayor of Gdansk. Did the prison medical staff ignore the signals provided by the police that Stefan W., the killer of Paweł Adamowicz, might pose a threat to people around him after leaving prison? And there are even more questions.
According to the information from Gazeta Wyborcza, Stefan W.'s mother came to the police station 1 week before the end of his sentence and expressed her concern with the mental condition of her son. She was afraid that he may be dangerous to society. Police reported this to the penitentiary services and they reacted in the best possible way. In this situation, the penitentiary service did all that was possible to deal with the inmate. They arranged for a psychiatric evaluation of the inmate himself and interviewed all other inmates and personnel he was in contact with. This included the psychiatrist who was assigned to his case and also his prison preceptor. The result was not calling for any concerns of violent behavior, neither to himself or to others. Please remember at what point a police officer may engage in the intervention. It is not when I go and say to the police that my neighbor, Smith, wants to assault me or someone else. An intervention can only be initiated when the police get a reliably validated probability of a crime, and not all the crimes, only those instances when the law allows a preventive provocation. These are corruption and terror crimes. The value of our personal freedom is the foundation of our civilization. We have to say very clearly that only a final judgment by the court may take away this personal freedom. There are other possibilities to limit one's freedom, like forced treatment, but this is also in situations when that person is dangerous and that is independently confirmed. If there is just a thought that someone might do something, it is not possible to limit one's freedom. It would be dangerous to head down this path because this is the direction of Soviet psychiatric practices, when you put behind bars all those who do not agree with you. The media informed that Stefan W. received 3 penalties for his violent behavior. He was also evaluated 20 times by psychiatrists and was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. On Monday, he gave his explanation to investigators and pleaded not guilty. He is charged with murder with special circumstances, and the possible sentence is life imprisonment.
The Constitutional Tribunal of Poland has concluded that certain parts of the Institute for National Remembrance legislation regarding Ukrainian genocide of Poles is unconstitutional. According to Polish historian Tadeusz Bujański, this conclusion not only relativizes the responsibility of the Ukrainian nationalists for their crimes against Poles, but also makes it harder for proper Polish-Ukrainian reconciliation to happen.
The Constitutional Tribunal shares Polish President Andrzej Duda's reservations on the Institute for National Remembrance legislation. He turned to the tribunal for an examination of the compatibility of the legislation with regards to the constitution. The points referring to Ukrainian nationalists and Eastern Lesser Poland were deemed not precise enough.
The legislation is not in compliance with the Polish constitution.
I think that the tribunal made the correct ruling. Some of the wording was not precise and clear enough. The tribunal, at the president's notice, made the right call. The legislation allowed for criminal investigations to be undertaken against people who deny the atrocities committed by Ukrainian nationalists between 1925 and 1950, as well as atrocities committed by Ukrainians collaborating with the Third Reich during World War II. This was a diplomatic catastrophe. Fortunately, the tribunal concluded that this legislation was unconstitutional as it was very questionable. The tribunal's ruling means we can forget about punishing Ukrainian perpetrators of those crimes. We cannot build mutual international relations on amnesia, forgetting what was done to us. We must remember that citizens of the Second Polish Republic were being murdered by 3 horrible genocidal systems. The amendment to the Institute for National Remembrance legislation came into law on March 1, 2018. In June, the President signed another amendment repealing the provision regarding criminal punishment for ascribing responsibility for the atrocities of the Third Reich to the Polish nation.
Having won yesterday's House of Commons vote of no confidence in the government by 325 votes to 305, British Prime Minister Theresa May appealed to politicians from all parties to come together to try to break the impasse on the agreement for the United Kingdom's leaving the European Union. This vote came only one day after the government suffered the largest defeat by a government since 1924, when the Commons rejected the EU withdrawal deal the government had negotiated by a majority of 230 votes, leaving exit arrangements in disarray.
So now MPs have made clear what they don't want. We must all work constructively together to set out what Parliament does want.
May said in a statement outside 10 Downing Street. While the Prime Minister met several party leaders, the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, refused to meet her unless she agreed to rule out a no-deal Brexit, something she has so far refused to do, despite a no-deal exit only being favoured by a minority of MPs. Indeed, the Prime Minister insists that her own red lines, including the UK leaving the EU customs union, must be included in any arrangement to meet her objective of delivering on the result of the 2016 referendum. So far, none of the various solutions which have been mooted in recent months, Canada Plus, Norway, a second referendum, postponing the Article 50 notice deadline, or even withdrawing the article notice altogether, commands a majority support. The EU itself has ruled out further substantive negotiation on the proposed deal. With the UK legally bound to leave the EU on the 29th of March, time is rapidly running out if the chaos of a no-deal exit is to be avoided.
That's the news tonight. Goodbye and have a better tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Weather Forecast. Tonight the thermometers will be showing us -1 degree around the city of Białystok and up to +1 degree in the southern parts of Poland. There will be quite a fair amount of snow tonight as well. On Friday it will be very sunny with up to 2 degrees in many parts of Poland, like in the south, in the southwest, west and also around Poznań and Szczecin. We are expecting a lot of snow as well in almost every part of the country, yet it will be quite sunny. Now, taking a look at the upcoming 3 days, we will see that on Saturday there will be a lot of sun, but also snow in the northeast. Both Sunday and Monday will be also nice and sunny, yet quite icy. The minimum temperature will be -3 on Monday in the northeast. Thank you.
You're watching Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Adam Kostrzewa of BGK Bank. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Your job at the bank is TMT sector. Right. So what is the TMT sector in the bank? Obvious question, but for those who don't know.
Absolutely. TMT is telecommunication, technology and media, or telecommunication, media and technology sector, which is common abbreviation for this quite broad range of activities we do in the world and in Poland as well.
Okay. And what is the specific? Could you go a little bit deeper?
Okay. We are in the media now, so this is kind of touch what is the TMT sector about, and mostly these days we are about technology. All the development of ICT technologies, all development of
artificial
things like artificial and Internet of things like this. But please let me explain this a bit about the BGK, the State Development Bank, and sectors, because as we deal with the national economy, we also have a look at the economy by means of the sectors. So we are interested, or we are focused on heavy infrastructure or railways, highways, things like this, but also on very high-edge developed sectors like TMT.
Okay. The bank, as you said, is state-owned, is devoted to build huge infrastructural projects, the projects that can change Poland in terms of 10, 20 or 30 years. Can you name any projects in your sector that are like that?
Oh, a few. We are in the, let's say, we are in the e-commerce, for instance. As some people say the word that e-commerce is going to overtake the traditional commerce day by day, as we observe what is going on in the world, like Alibaba, for instance, and big players in Poland. We are more and more going into e-commerce solutions. So this
Should we have our own Alibaba? Like Alibaba is a tool to disperse Chinese-made products all over the world on the competitive prices. Do we also should think this way about our high-end food, high-end small producers, small manufacturers, people who are right now hidden somewhere in Zamość? Yeah. I don't know if our viewers know how to spell Zamość, but beautiful city, but absolutely outside of the main tracks, yet there are great people who produce fantastic things.
Yes. Excellent question, and we probably already have a kind of Polish Alibaba. The question is, can we compete with China, and where can we compete with China? And e-commerce solutions is, as a matter of fact, the only way probably in the future to deal with this issue and to hopefully maybe not overtake the Chinese market, but be available and be present at the global market, in fact, even from Zamość, which I recommend to visit. I have been there recently. Love this city.
Well, this is a pearl of Renaissance, but it's not the issue of our conversation right now. The issue of our conversation, however, is how to promote and help those sectors to develop. So are there any programs that people who are in Poland or running a business can subscribe to in order to get the leverage from BGK?
Yes, absolutely. Please let me say a few words about how we act, because I mentioned sectors like TMT, or commerce, or transport, things like this. But also we have typical bank products like structured debt, which is a typical product for heavy investment and big transactions. But as we go to innovation area, which is another area I'm responsible for, this is kind of dimension that goes throughout any sector in the economy. So if we take a look at the solutions we provide to SMEs and big corporations, we have very well known in Poland kind of financing which is called technological premium. We have hundreds of participants and companies that are successfully win this premium, which allows the expanding business in Poland and abroad as well. But this financing has their limits. This is up to 6 million Polish zlotys, which sometimes is not enough. So if so, we have specific products like especially structured finance. We can think, deal, and structure the necessary financing for namely any project with only one condition. A project has to be bankable, which is a difficult word and sometimes difficult to be exactly fit in these conditions, but as we are a bank anyway, we have to stick to the bank law, which requires at least good standing, financial standing, and good prospects by means of cash flow.
Right. The Google company in the early 1990s had no financial standing whatsoever. Microsoft in 1980s, no financial statement whatsoever. The same with YouTube, the same with Facebook. They wouldn't get credit from it.
Completely agree, but please remember BGK as a state development bank is one of, we call it, state development institution. So everyone is dealing with some range of financing, which is, let's say, we are not a typical institution for financing startups. At least they are bankable. Please let me give you an example of excellent Polish startup. Its name Shumisie in Poland. This is a small company producing bears like toys for children. This is excellent business. They have excellent cash flow, and since they are still startup, namely, they are completely bankable. So this is not so easy or obvious to say we are not financing startups. No, we do finance business which is bankable. But for other which are in very early stage of development, we have PFR providing equity finance. We have PARP providing other range of financial help, and so on and so on.
One more thing about the fintech, financial technologies, that's the new catchy word.
Absolutely.
Lots of people join in the bandwagon and want to get rich on that. What is your take on it?
Okay. Please let me say, first of all, that we have in Poland excellent track record with fintech. Some of you may remember, and you know, Inteligo. Which could be called as a first fintech in Poland, but also one of the first in the world. When we go to some conferences worldwide and hear about fintech solutions, we say simply, stop, we already have this for 5 years. So we are very good in fintech. We do support fintech development, maybe not by means, but State National Bank, because we are not Commerce Bank. But we do support Polish companies expanding in a fintech area. Please let me name the last winner of Singapore competition for fintech, Bilon. Excellent business. These are kind of
and they are
companies.
Bankable, which is the most important question. Okay. Sir, thank you very much for visiting our studio. Adam Kostrzewa of BGK TMT Sector Director was our guest, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Weather Forecast. Tomorrow in Poland it will be very nice and sunny almost all over the country except Gdańsk, Bydgoszcz and Lublin, where we will see the most clouds. Up to 2 degrees in many parts, and the minimum temperature will be in Olsztyn as well as in Białystok 0 degrees. Now if we take a look at the forecast in Europe for tomorrow, we will see that there is a lot of sun expected as well, but also snow in some places. The temperatures will vary from -6 degrees Celsius and up to 14 in Athens and 15 in Rome, Italy.
Research on Polish folklore began in the 19th century and was related to the struggle to maintain national consciousness. In 1802, Hugo Kołłątaj developed the first Polish research on folklore, but the increase in interest in this field occurred mainly in the second half of the century.
I'm here with Sergei, a singer in Mazovsha. Sergei, welcome to Poland Daily Culture.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Hello.
Now, Sergei, you are originally from Moldova, so maybe you could tell us how it came that you ended up here performing in Mazovsha in Poland.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the most interesting stories of my life, because I came here when I was 19. So the story, at the beginning of the story, was when I was 9. My grandmother, who is from Poland, but throughout her life she didn't tell us about it, all our family. She was married with a Russian soldier, and when he died, and when the first Catholic church was opened in Chisinau, so when I was 9, she told us that she is Catholic too. She showed us her photos from her childhood. So it was just, you know, one special moment for us. It's for her coming out of her family story. So from that moment, she told us that it would be a great idea if we would go together to church. And after that, I met a lot of people from Poland, because they are all, you know, connected, the Polish culture with the church. So from that moment, honestly, I heard about Poland, about Mazovsha, about politics, maybe because a lot of people from Poland were coming to us. So I was singing then, I was dancing for my life. So after that, I came here for studies, and I heard about the casting in Mazovsha. So it never been my, you know, I've never thought about it. So I'm a linguistic, I wanted to go in this direction, but I came, my friend advised me to come here, so they took me in. This is the 4th season I work here, so the 4th year I work in Mazovsha.
Maybe you could tell us a little something about folklore and, you know, it's the details behind it.
You know, I've discovered the folklore when I was about 14, because Moldova has its own assembly as Mazovsha, the joke, but it's not so popular now because of maybe the situation there. So the Western folk culture is not so developed as here in Poland, I guess. So the first contact, my touch of folklore was when I was here and my beginning in Mazovsha. So, you know, it's a magnificent world. I think I've been searching for my destiny, I guess, throughout my life, because I've always been singing and dancing, but none of those directions is so full of sense and passion as the folklore dances and songs, I guess, because it all shows us the historical situation. The colors have their own meaning then. All the lyrics of the songs, the movement in dance has its own meaning, so that's very important. And not always we can see that, but the folklore shows us that in the most simple way.
What is it about Polish folklore that makes it unique, maybe from others?
Yeah, so you stole my words. So the Polish folklore is really unique, because in our program we have about 42 regions of different Polish, you know, the costumes, the song, all the regions are unique too. And I don't think that there are so many countries in the world which have such a big and plenty of different costumes and songs and dances, you know. So the Polish folklore is really unique because it's very rich about its culture.
What is it? Maybe you could tell us something about the significance of the colours, etc. Because you mentioned that before, that each move and each colour represents. Could you give an example?
Yeah, of course. So, for example, from our program of our performances, which we have here, we have about 20 regions which we show on our every concert, and you know there are 3 different groups: the middle, the smallest, and the tallest one. So the costumes are of different size too. So, for example, the Krakow region, its costumes have about 4 or 5 different colors. The main colors, it's about green, red, for example, and there are a lot of golden details. So it shows us the moment, the historical moment of Krakowian soldiers which were dancing with their ladies before, for example, the battle. So all the posture is very unique, it's specific. For example, the region of Gural, which we have here, they have another costumes. They're made of woolen and a lot of natural materials, and it shows us the history of people who were living on mountains. And these people have a very specific, very funny songs, funny dances. They danced with their partners all the time, rolling over her. So it's another part of this folklore world. So we can say it's really very rich because each of the regions has its own history, and the basement of the colors differs too. For example, my costume is from the Łowicz region, so you see it's rich of plenty of orange, green, pink, black, so it's unique here. But for example, in another region of Poland, these colors are not always used.
Could you tell us something about the repertoire that is performed in Mazowsza?
Of course. So I'm working here for 4 years, and I can say that for each year this repertoire becomes bigger, and we have a lot of different performances, beginning from now for children, for schools which come here. I don't know, about 7-9 times per month. So we give performances two times per day for them. And these are performances just for children to show them this folklore from the inner side. So they come here and they can see it from the beginning, but because none of them know about the folklore and about how rich it is. But we can show them that, and they are learning it from us. We have the Polish Bethlehem, it's the newest performance. So, and it's another thing, it's not a musical, it's Mazowsze. So we dance, we use our songs, we use our costumes, we use our dances, but we show it in a theatrical way, so it becomes more interesting for the people who come to us to see us, because not everyone can understand the music, not everyone can understand just the sense of each song, but they just come, and if these people are not connected with the culture at all, they can see just these beautiful people on the stage, they can see the beautiful costumes and to listen to the beautiful vibrations of music. So, the Polish Bethlehem, our full concerts which are really full of dances, orchestral music and the sounds. We have also the Christmas songs. So this year we've created 5 different CDs. Polish Mazowsze songs, we've created the sacral music, we've created the patriotical songs. So really the 5 different CDs which everyone can buy now, and to see how rich is Mazowsze and all the Polish culture, because Mazowsze is the ambassador of Polish culture, and I think it's true. And I say it not just as Polish, because I'm not, but as a person who came here 5 years ago, and I'm just so connected with Poland, and it's just thanks to Mazowsze, I guess.
I don't suppose you watched the film Cold War?
Of course, I've played in that. Not I played, but just Mazowsze played in that film, of course.
And what was your impression of the way in which they showed?
It was fantastic. I just like the moment that they discussed it with us. So they just wanted to know how it looks like. So Mazowsze wasn't just a part of this film which they showed from the side they wanted to show us, but they just discussed to us what is it from the from inside. So what are these songs? Which songs could they choose? And they chose I think one of the most popular songs, which was Dwa serduszka. It was as 2 hearts. So this song is like the main song of all this film, and people who watch it, not everyone maybe knows about that, but this just song of Sygetyński, the creator of our ensemble. And even I was there for 2 times in cinema. I saw this film for 2 times, and I can say that it's black and white, but Mazowsze gives us so many colors, in our minds, that everyone could say it's impossible, but it is. So this film is colorful thanks to Mazowsze, I guess.
Sergei, thank you very much for joining us in Poland Daily Culture.
Thank you so much.
The Armenians are also a really oppressed group of people during the communist regime. But after the fall of communism and when Poland has its time to rebuild and rebirth, the Armenians resurfaced and integrated again into the Polish culture. Here with us is our guest Maciej Bohociewicz, the founder of the Armenian Foundation, talking about life for Armenians before and after the communist regime. After the fall of communism in Poland, the country actually have a time to get a breather. And I was wondering if the Armenians were able to come back after communist has passed. And also, what is like today? How is the Armenian population interacting with the Polish population?
Trzeba pamiętać, że liderami społeczności ormiańskiej na całym świecie są zawsze osoby duchowne. To księża.
We have to remember that the priests are the leaders of the Armenian population all over the world.
Podobnie wyglądała sytuacja w Polsce.
When there is no organized Armenian authorities in pockets all across the globe, the priests are the unofficial leaders of that minority.
Rzeczypospolitej ze wschodu.
The case was similar in Poland. The years of communism led to the fact that the Armenians who were repatriated from the eastern borderlands of Poland found themselves spread out in cities all over Poland. For the most part, those were the cities which were not a part of the Polish Republic prior to the war, the so-called recovered territories located in western Poland.
Paręnaście kościołów, dobrze zorganizowane parafie, a po wojnie na terenie obecnej Rzeczypospolitej.
Here is where the problem arises, as before the war, the Armenians had over a dozen of churches, well-organized parishes, and after the war, in the areas of the Polish Republic we know today, one sole Armenian church, which we know is the center of the Armenian spiritual life, was built in Gliwice. Additionally, there is a chapel which belongs to the Armenians in the coastal city of Gdańsk. However, Armenians could also be found in big cities such as Krakow, Warsaw, Poznań and Wrocław, even though there are no Armenian churches there.
Nie posiadając swoich kościołów. W tamtych czasach mamy tylko dwóch księży.
At the time, there were only two priests, priest Romaszkan and priest Filipiak, who held sermons in Gdańsk.
Że tak powiem, sprawuje nabożeństwa w Gdańsku. Gliwice staje się powolutku takim centrum życia duchowego.
Gliwice slowly became the center of spiritual life because of the very strong presence of an Armenian priest, Józef Kowalczyk, who in the late 80s and early 90s managed to conduct an enormous ceremony in Poland.
Doprowadza do ogromnej ceremonii kościelnej, do koronacji obrazu Matki Bożej Łysieckiej.
It was the coronation of the painting of Saint Mary of Łysiec, an icon originating from a town in the eastern borderlands. Armenians from all across the globe gathered in Poland, along with the representatives of the Armenian Catholic Church and head of the Beirut congregation, Jean Kasparian XVIII. An incredible mass was held in Gliwice, where the Armenians could gather and unify under the bishop's scepter. This was an impulse for the Armenian society to create new organizations. The first one was the Armenian Culture Club,
kolejnej nowej działalności społeczność ormiańskiej,
which was set up in the 1980s in Krakow, with similar clubs being established in Warsaw and one more in Gdańsk.
W latach 80. w Krakowie, potem kolejne koło w Warszawie i kolejne koło ormiańskie w Gdańsku. I z biegiem czasu, kiedy
In communist times in Poland, people did not want to admit their Armenian heritage, as they feared this would lead to some undisclosed consequences. As time had passed and people felt more comfortable with admitting they were of Armenian descent, it was priest Józef Kowalczyk who essentially organized the life of this minority in Poland. Because of him, more organizations, foundations and clubs were established in our country, and they attracted younger generations with their actions.
Organizuje odczyty, dając asumpt do tej działalności. Dzięki temu powstają liczne organizacje ormiańskie.
Armenian Foundation is an example of such cooperation with the youth that comes to mind, which I am honored to be the founder of. Our foundation aims to work with the youngest generations so that they would not forget their heritage.
Armenian Foundation, której mam zaszczyt być założycielem. I fundacja postawiła sobie za cel przede wszystkim pracę z tym najmłodszym pokoleniem, aby to pokolenie nie zapomniało o swoich korzeniach. Ormianie polscy w większości nie znają języka ormiańskiego, więc postawiliśmy sobie za cel powoli znowu przywracać język ormiański.
Polish Armenians, for the most part, do not know their native language. Therefore, we made it our mission to slowly bring Armenian language back. Another example of such operations is the Armenian Weekend School in Krakow. The second branch of activities consists of trips to the eastern borderlands, the places where our grandparents used to live. The small town of Kuty on the Chermosh River comes to mind, and the program is named Kuty, a tiny Armenian capital.
Każdego roku przez 2 tygodnie organizujemy coś w rodzaju letniego obozu, takiego summer campu, gdzie dzieci i młodzież zwiedza miejscowości, miasta, terytoria, które kiedyś należały do Ormian, gdzie uczy się historii i tradycji ormiańskiej i polskiej.
Each year we organize a summer camp of sorts where children and teenagers visit the towns and cities which previously belonged to the Armenians. They can learn about the culture and tradition of both Poland and Armenia, and they can physically touch items which belonged to their grandparents and great-grandparents, and in the process learn the language they were not taught.
Że wśród grupy 30-40 osobowej tej dzieci i młodzieży znajdują się także ich dziadkowie, którzy wtedy jadąc z nami mają czas.
The program is in its 11th year of existence and is constructed in such a way that the grandparents of the young Polish Armenians also take part in the trip. Because of that, they can speak with their grandchildren about the past and how their life looked back then. We also organize trips to multiple Armenian diasporas across the globe. We go to different European cities. The exhibition we can experience today is being shown across Poland as well as the world, and it brings people closer to the phenomenon of the Polish Armenians.
Społecznościom i diasporom ormiańskim za granicą. Mamy nadzieję, że to nowe pokolenie, z którym pracujemy.
We hope that this new generation we are working with will continue our work and that the memory of the Polish Armenians and their culture will not be lost.
Kulturze, jaką wytworzyli, nie zostanie zaprzepaszczona.
That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're glad to see you again. In this new series, we're going to go behind the scenes in Warsaw. We will be trolling the nooks and crannies of the capital with our guide Wojtek Młatkowski from, wait for it, Behind the Scenes Warsaw. That's the name of his company, which provides entertaining and informative tours of the big pierogi, Warsaw, beautiful downtown Warsaw. In fact, all of Warsaw. He keeps an eye out for things you simply would not notice without his expert guidance. So sit right back and we will tell you a tale, starting with Plac Zamkowy, or Castle Square in the Old Town. We will then head to the far side of the ancient city, behind the castle, and then over to the Warsaw City Museum to examine ancient foundations. We'll take you for a spin in the revered Żuk van, a motor vehicle so fabulous they named it Beetle. Or they named it after a beetle, anyway. Yeah. The Żuk rules, as you will see. It pulls the piece together like Lebowski's rug. Yes, there's nothing like cruising the main drag in a crypto-communist car. So stay tuned for the Żuk. We'll make stops in Plac Konstytucji, that's Constitution Square. And we'll go over to the waterworks at Filtrowa, where mystery abounds. So it's adventure and travel talk, as always, in store for you, because we love you, on Poland Daily Travel, behind the scenes in Warsaw. Stick with us. Come along for the ride.
In this town, we just need to go around corners to meet history and to really touch history.
Okay.
Let's see that here. We look at a wall, yes?
Uh-huh.
A very standard one, but that has so much history in it. In World War II, this castle that symbolized the state of Poland and its long history and its big cultural heritage has been, by purpose, dynamited by German forces. Just by the end of World War II here in winter of 1944. They took
Maybe
several
kind of
tons
a day
of dynamite.
like this, yeah.
On a day like that, exactly,
Yeah.
with the same weather, more or less. And then it got destroyed to such an extent that only very few pieces of this castle remained, and this corner would be one of them. Here you see the original damage from this difficult time, and then you see it completely rebuilt. It looks exactly like in 1620s, in which it was built. Guys have even took their plans from 1620s and earlier to make this arise the same version, and that was truly great.
The reconstruction to make it look exactly as it was in the old days.
In the best period of Polish culture, for Polish culture, except the one
the
today.
height of the empire or the kingdom anyway.
Of the Commonwealth, yes.
Of the Commonwealth,
and
yeah.
that was a truly great moment. They have even, and you know, what is so impressive to me in my job as a guide, I sometimes meet people who are history themselves, you know. I met a guy your age that reported to me that he was laying bricks while reconstructing the castle in late 1970s. So I felt really impressed. It was one of the moments that I will remember, you know.
So he was actually working on this.
Actually working on this corner, and he told me, you know, what can you tell me about the castle? I can tell you about the castle, yes. I did the bricks here, yes.
Yeah.
So that was an impressive moment.
And when was he doing that?
People.
What
he was
time?
doing that in late 1970s, in the time that he was a student and I was not yet born.
That was in the late 1970s, and so you met him not long ago, yeah?
I didn't meet him long ago. He was on a tour with other people from an international group.
Okay.
He came back to here, to this town, and yes, he was more local in this way than I was. It was his own effort to do that.
What's all this? What are all these
These are all
things?
bullet holes from World War II.
These are
all of these here.
This is left from World War II.
This is exactly left from World War II. All of this corner up to this line that you might see there.
Yeah.
Over there, where the stone gets renovated a little bit more or patched up somehow. Also, one frame, one door of this castle has been preserved. And interestingly, already in 1950, in 1949, the decision was taken to rebuild the castle, but it wasn't rebuilt until 1980s. It got reopened in 1980s. First of all, it was to redo the old town of Warsaw, which was not royal history, but just, you know, common man's history. And it was more important for the government to redo places to live than places of culture.
They were building the big neighborhoods of Warsaw rather than coming back and reconstructing this. So it really, a lot of the final touches were not done till the late 70s, even the 80s, some of it, right? On the whole of the old town. Is that correct?
Can you check? Yes, that is correct. But can you check out this music? Do you hear that music?
I hear some music. What is that?
What time do we have? Do we have a clock?
I think
it's like 11:30.
11:30, I think. Yeah.
11:36.
Why?
Because that was the hour in which this clock stopped to work on the 17th of September, 1939. It was an important moment in World War II. It was the same day as the Soviet Union invaded Poland, and this day, this hour has been chosen to play this music in here, which is called Warszawianka.
That's the Warszawianka. So there you are, folks. The Warszawianka, we can hear it playing behind us now. A significant moment in Polish history.
It's a good tune, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It does not end up that fast as the Kraków tune, you know?
Yes,
it's
in Krakow
not
they
connected
have one too. Yeah. That's more ancient. Yeah.
And that's less ancient. That's more like revolutionary. That's like 17 something.
Is somebody actually playing this?
Yeah.
That's not a recording.
Well,
or is it a recording? In Krakow, it's not a recording.
It's not a recording, and it's not a recording here. But I'm not absolutely sure. You never know who makes the playback. Yes.
If it's a playback or actually someone playing, we don't know.
Well, I don't know that by now.
Yeah.
I have to check this out.
I
would not give my hand. That's too perfect in a way, isn't it?
I can't tell.
Neither can I.
I think it's somebody playing.
That is
Yeah, because
most likely.
that sounded like it's not quite, just missed the note a little bit.
It did?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe in this section, because the sections are not exactly the same, you know?
Well, there it was.
For my ear.
The Warszawianka. Here we are, standing in the corner of the old castle. This whole place was rebuilt. Anyway, let's go see something else. Stay with us. Poland Daily Travel with Wojtek. It's behind the scenes Warsaw.